Okay. So yesterday we started the laws of Mukseh, and we were talking about what the Pninei Halacha wrote in Shabbat Perek Gimel, and he wrote the Kli shemelachto leisur veleheter, a utensil that is used both for melacha that is allowed to do on Shabbat and something that is not allowed to do on Shabbat. We go achar rov tashmisho. We go according to the way it's been used the most. Therefore, olav, we spoke about a Swiss Army knife, that they have knives in it and it has scissors in it, right? So you're allowed to you're allowed to use the knife, but you should not use the scissors even though they're all together. Because that's how you use it. But we talked about a cell phone, that let's say it has a time, on it, and it's on all the time, and we talked about the old flip phones that used to have that. You're not allowed to move it or touch it on Shabbat because rov tashmisho, the way it's been used the most, or the most way it's being used, is through davar isur, and therefore you can look at it, but you cannot touch it or move it on Shabbat. So it says, v'chen mutar letaltelo letzorech mekomo, and you're allowed to move it for the sake of its place. That's how you need its place. Kegon she'u tzarich et mekom hatelefon. Now you need the spot that you have the phone on, so you're allowed to move it, right? Or that the alarm clock started to I don't know. Let's say you set your alarm on. You set your alarm on, and then for whatever reason you forgot to turn your alarm off. So according to the Pninei Halacha, you're allowed to pick up your phone on Shabbat. That the alarm went on, and let's say put it in your sock drawer, so it would not disturb or bother you. That you're allowed to do. Well, it would ring, but it's not going to ring as much. That's what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to do it and put it like this. Not a problem. Because let's what? Yeah.
Nowadays, when you lift it up, it turns on. So.
Not all phones.
Not all phones. Yeah.
It depends on your setting. I mean, here, my phone is here in my pocket, or in my thing. You see? I pick it up, I move it, nothing happens. If you have a phone like this, you just change your setting. By the way, I do recommend most of you, if you want, to get a pouch like this, like I have here. It's better to have it on the side than to have it in your pockets.
Why?
First of all, it helps you with radiation, so you won't be shooting blanks. And second, it's just easier to access, and you're not going to have a butt dialing, everybody. Just easier to have it here. So now, the Igrot Moshe, Rav Moshe Feinstein in Orach Chaim, Chelek Hey, Siman Chaf Aleph, was asked the following: Im tzarich lechazer achar kli eiter? Do I have to go so-called out of my way to find a tool which is used in a permissible way on Shabbat, that I'm allowed to use on Shabbat, in order to not to move a kli shemelachto leisur letzorech gufo? What's better to use, right?
So like,
I'm sorry?
A nutcracker versus a hammer, essentially?
A what?
Nutcracker versus a hammer?
A nutcracker, yes. Let's say a nutcracker. I have a whole bunch of nuts to crack, and now I can use either a hammer, which is kli shemelachto leisur, or I can look for. I'm going to go looking somewhere for a nutcracker to take a nutcracker to crack it.
Isn't this kind of like machloket in the end of Eruvin, if there's a sheretz in the Beit HaMikdash, and whether or not the Kohen should take it out with something, or I should wait extra long to get tongs to take it out? Similar?
Not exactly, but it's a very interesting thought you have, because it is a similar concept. It's a similar concept. What we need to do is like, do I wait to do it the right way, or I do the right thing as soon as I can do it without thinking about argumenting myself in terms of that kind of a thing? So Rav Moshe writes the following. It says, Masha muskar b'mishnah brura, whatever was brought down in Mishnah Brura in Siman Shin Chet, Seif Katan Yud Beit, דווקא באין לו כלי היתר, that is when you don't have, let's say a nutcracker, מותר לטלטל כלי שמלאכתו לאיסור לצורך גופו, you're allowed to do so, נראה, it seems, שאין לטרוח הרבה בהשגת כלי היתר. You don't need to go so much out of the way to go look for a argument's sake. Let's say you have a nutcracker, but it's somewhere in the boydom, somewhere up there hidden in your Pesach stuff. So now go start schlepping on the Pesach stuff to look for the nutcracker that you have, because you have one for Pesach that you bought 30 years ago. So he says you don't have to go. It seems like you don't have to go to such an extent to go and look for those things. ורק אם נמצא בקירוב מקום, if it's nearby, בלי טורח, without a great effort, יש לו לשמש בכלי היתר ולא בכלי שמלאכתו לאיסור. So it depends how much you have to go after and to bother. If it's nearby, let's say for example, you're looking for the nutcracker, so it's not in this drawer, it's in that cupboard. So okay, it's not a problem. Go ahead and yes, don't take a knife. Let's say you have a toolbox here. I can get my knife, or I can walk over there to the end of the room to pick up a nutcracker. Of course, that's not a problem. Walk to the nutcracker, walk to the end of the room, take the nutcracker and use it. However, if it is all the way schlepped up in my attic with all my Pesach stuff, and I need to take all the Pesach stuff, and I need to start looking for the stupid nutcracker, take the hammer and just crack the nuts. So it depends how much torach it is according to Rabbi Moshe. You should make an effort, but if it's too much, no, you don't have to go too much. Get whatever you get to your hand to do what you need to do. Okay? And there's a big nafkamina to what we do in terms of ourselves today as well. Now, in Sefer Minchat Ahava, Perek Yud-Bet, Seif Tet Zayin, I think, says the following: Mutar letaltel, you're allowed to move, kli shemelachto leisur, a tool that is being used for a forbidden activity on Shabbat, letzorech gufo, for the sake of its body, afilu im yesh leyado kli shemelachto leeter, sheyachol להשתמש בו. Even if there is a kli that is okay to use on Shabbat, no questions, right near you. וכן אם צריך למקום אחד הכלים, if I need the place in which, the resting place of one of those tools, I don't have to make a preferences to take specifically that shemelachto leheter. In other words, whatever I need, whatever comes to my head first, I can do so. אלא יכול לטלטל כל מה שירצה. Everything that you need to move, so therefore you're allowed to do so. So that's the difference of how we differentiate and we start determining, first of all, on the essence of the kli. Is it kli shemelachto leheter or kli shemelachto leisur? Is there is an option to use that, and even if there is an option to use one over the other, how much effort would be involved with it, and do I need to go out of my way or not? That's what we're dealing with right now. Tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to deal with Mukseh michamat chisaron kis. Whatever most people think it's something that is not necessarily expensive, but this type of Mukseh is associated with chisaron kis. Questions on the matter, Rabbatai?
Oh, so since this is a matter that's a derabanan, a person can be makel to use the thing as it is?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we are making, because letzorech gufo, in other words, when I have a need for it, I'm allowed to move it. But there's no need, just like I'll play around with my hammer. No, you can't do that. Okay? Because assuming, hopefully, my intent would also remind me that in Shabbat I'm not going to do to violate something.